You hear about Dunkirk, D-Day, Stalingrad, the big names, the turning points everyone knows, but there's a desert story that gets buried under sand and silence. December 1940, Western Egypt. 36,000 British and Commonwealth troops face down 150,000 Italians. The odds? 4-1 against. The outcome? The most lopsided victory in modern warfare. How does a force this outnumbered not just survive, but destroy an entire army? What happens when everything goes wrong for the side that should win? If you value documented military history like this, subscribe. It's the best way to support our work. Also, comment from which city you're hearing this from. This script is researched and factual, using sources from the British National Archives and Italian military records. Now back to the story. Libya, December 1940. Mussolini's dream stretches across North Africa. Marshal Rodolfo Graziani commands the 10th Army, 150,000 men, 600 tanks, 1,000 artillery pieces. They've pushed into Egypt, taken Sidi Barrani, built fortified camps in a line 40 miles long. The British, 36,000 troops under Richard O'Connor, fewer tanks, less artillery. But they have something the Italians don't expect: speed. The setup looks hopeless for Britain. September 13th, 1940. Graziani's massive force crosses from Libya into Egypt. Italian blackshirts march in perfect formation. Bands play. Cameras roll from Mussolini's newsreels. The advance covers 60 miles in 3 days. Egyptian towns surrender without firing a shot. Italian engineers begin building permanent camps at Maktila, Sofafi, Nebewa, concrete bunkers, stone walls, wire obstacles that stretch for miles. Graziani stops. Fatal mistake. The Italian marshal thinks he's won already. His camps form a defensive line that looks unbreakable on paper. Each position holds 8,000 to 12,000 men, artillery pre-sighted, machine gun fields overlapping, supply lines secure. But there's something Graziani doesn't see. His camps sit 15 miles apart. Wide gaps of empty desert between them, desert his reconnaissance teams never patrol. O'Connor sees those gaps, starts planning. Richard Nugent, O'Connor, 50 years old, Irish Protestant, career soldier who learned infantry tactics in the Tira campaign, tank warfare in France, the kind of general who reads maps by candlelight and sleeps 3 hours a night. His force looks pitiful compared to Graziani's war machine. Western Desert Force, 13,000 British troops, 23,000 from India, Australia, New Zealand, no proper supply lines. Equipment shortages everywhere, but O'Connor has advantages the Italians miss. First advantage, his men. The 7th Armored Division earned their Desert Rats nickname fighting Arab raiders in the 1930s. They know the desert, how to navigate by stars, which wadis hold water. Where sand is firm enough for tanks. The 4th Indian Division fought on the northwest frontier. Gurkhas who can move silent as shadows. Rajputana rifles who never retreat. Second advantage, intelligence. Bletchley Park breaks Italian codes in November 1940. Every radio message Graziani sends, British cryptographers read within 6 hours. Troop movements, supply convoys, artillery positions. The Italians think their communications are secure. They broadcast attack plans in clear language, assuming British listening posts can't understand Italian military terminology. Wrong again. Third advantage, technology. The numbers don't show. British tanks are lighter than Italian armor, but they have better radios. Every tank commander can talk to every other tank commander. Coordinate attacks in real time. Italian tank crews use signal flags and hand gestures. When their formation breaks, they can't reform. British artillery uses new survey techniques borrowed from oil prospectors. Their guns hit targets on the first shot. Italian artillery relies on World War I range tables that don't account for desert temperature variations. O'Connor doesn't wait for reinforcement. December 9th, 1940, 4:30 a.m. Operation Compass begins. The plan sounds insane. Circle behind Italian positions. Cut their retreat. Destroy them piecemeal. His forces leave their start lines in complete darkness. No headlights, no radio chatter, navigation by compass, bearing only. 7th Armored Division swings west into empty desert. 50 miles behind enemy lines before the Italians notice they're gone. The Desert Rats move in 3 columns. A squadron takes the coast road. B squadron cuts inland. C squadron holds reserve. Each column has orders to improvise. If they hit resistance, bypass it. If they find opportunity, exploit it. They find opportunity everywhere. Dawn breaks over Nebewa camp December 9th, 6:45 a.m. Italian sentries see dust clouds approaching from the wrong direction. The sun blinds them. They can't identify the vehicles silhouetted against the morning light. By the time someone realizes those are British tanks, cruiser tanks are already through the perimeter wire. The attack hits like lightning. Matilda tanks punch through the camp's western wall. Their 2-pounder guns fire high explosive shells into Italian strongpoints. Behind them, 4th Indian Division Infantry advances with bayonets. The fighting is close and brutal. Italian Askaris die defending positions they never expected to hold. Libyan troops surrender in groups of 50 and 100. General Pietro Maletti dies fighting. The Italian commander grabs a Breda machine gun when his headquarters bunker comes under direct fire. British tank shells bracket his position. Maletti keeps firing until a 2-pounder round explodes 6 feet from his gun pit. Shrapnel kills him instantly. His aide finds the body still gripping the machine gun's firing handle. Nebewa falls in 40 minutes. 2,000 prisoners. 35 guns, 80 trucks. British losses, 7 killed, 49 wounded. O'Connor doesn't pause. The original plan calls for 3 camps in 3 days. He decides to take 3 camps in 1 day. While 4th Indian Division consolidates at Nebewa, 7th Armored swings east toward the Tummer camps. Italian commanders panic. Radio intercepts show the confusion. Tumar East signals Tumar West. British tanks approaching from northwest. Tumar West signals headquarters under attack from southwest and northeast simultaneously. The Italian defensive plan assumes attacks from one direction. British forces hit from 3 directions at once. Tumar East surrenders by noon. The camp commander, Colonel Castagna, walks out with a white flag after British tanks overrun his artillery positions. His men throw down their weapons and raise their hands. 2,000 more prisoners, 40 guns. The British lose 12 men. Tumar West holds out until evening, not from courage, from confusion. Italian radio equipment breaks down during the morning bombardment. The garrison doesn't know Tumar East has fallen. They keep fighting isolated battles against British infantry who infiltrate through gaps in the wire. By sunset, resistance collapses. Another 1,500 prisoners. 3 camps, 1 day. The Italian defensive line cracks like glass. Graziani orders general retreat December 10th. His radio message to Rome admits disaster. Enemy forces have penetrated our positions in superior numbers. 10th Army withdrawing to prepared positions. The superior numbers are actually a British force 1/4 the size of his own army. But numbers don't matter when your positions are being overrun faster than you can count casualties. The retreat becomes chaos immediately. Italian convoys jam the coast road. Trucks loaded with ammunition collide with trucks carrying wounded men. Artillery pieces jackknife when their prime movers run out of fuel. Staff cars abandon their units and race west toward Libya. The British 7th Armored Division is already there, cutting the road at Buk. Italian columns run into their own trap. Buk, December 11th, 2:15 p.m. Leading elements of the Italian retreat hit a British roadblock they never expected. 11 Light Tanks Company, commanded by Captain John Campbell, blocks the coast road with 7 tanks. Behind them, a single company of riflemen digs in across 3 miles of front. The odds are insane. 7 British tanks against an entire retreating army. Campbell doesn't retreat. His orders say, hold the road. He holds the road. Italian reconnaissance tries to probe around his flanks. Campbell's tanks move to block them. When Italian artillery unlimbers to shell his position, Campbell orders a charge. 7 light tanks attack 30 guns and their infantry support. The Italians break, not because they're cowards, because they can't believe what they're seeing. 7 tanks don't attack an entire army unless that army's already beaten. Italian morale, shaky since Nebewa, collapses completely. Units that could have swept Campbell aside instead retreat back down the coast road. The traffic jam becomes a slaughter. RAF Hurricanes from Mott and Bagish arrive over the coast road at 3 p.m. The pilots see targets everywhere. Trucks bumper to bumper for 20 miles. No air cover. No anti-aircraft guns deployed. The Hurricanes make strafing run after strafing run until their ammunition runs out. Italian casualties mount by the hundreds. Sidi Barrani falls December 12th. The town that took Graziani 3 days to capture in September falls to British forces in 3 hours. Italian rearguards abandon positions without fighting. The port facilities, intact and fully stocked, fall into British hands. Fuel dumps, ammunition depots, field hospitals with medical supplies the British desperately need, but O'Connor wants more than supplies. His intelligence officers report Italian forces regrouping at Sollum and Halfaya Pass, the next defensive line. If the Italians get time to dig in, Operation Compass stalls, British forces are already operating beyond their supply lines. Every day of delay favors the defenders. O'Connor orders immediate pursuit. If you value documented military history like this, subscribe. It's the best way to support our work. Also, comment from which city you're hearing this from. This script is researched and factual, using sources from the British National Archives and Italian military records. Now back to the story. Sollum Falls, December 16th. Halfaya Pass on the 17th. Each Italian position melts before British spearheads that shouldn't exist. The mathematics still don't work. 36,000 men can't be everywhere at once, but O'Connor splits his tiny force like quicksilver. Every attack hits where the Italians are weakest. The secret isn't just intelligence, it's tempo. British forces move faster than Italian communications. By the time Graziani receives reports of an attack, that attack is over and British forces are hitting the next position. Italian defensive plans become obsolete before they can be implemented. Reserves move to reinforce positions that have already fallen. Christmas 1940 finds the Western Desert Force on the Libyan border. In 16 days, they've advanced 150 miles. Captured 38,000 prisoners, destroyed or captured 237 guns, 73 tanks, their own losses, 600 killed and wounded. The advance should stop here. Supply lines stretch 300 miles back to Alexandria. Fuel runs short. Ammunition dwindles. Tank tracks wear thin on rocky ground. But Italian resistance keeps collapsing faster than British logistics can fail. January 3rd, 1941. Bardia. The fortress port looks impregnable. 45,000 Italian defenders behind concrete bunkers and wire obstacles. Artillery positions carved into solid rock. The harbor protected by coastal guns that can hit targets 20 miles out to sea. General Annibale Bergonzoli commands the garrison. A veteran of Ethiopia and Spain who earned the nickname Electric Whiskers for his aggressive tactics, Bergonzoli plans to make the British pay. His defensive system relies on 18-mile perimeter of anti-tank ditches, wire obstacles, concrete bunkers connected by underground tunnels, machine gun positions sited to create interlocking fields of fire, artillery registered on every approach route, minefields marked only on maps locked in the fortress vault. The siege should take weeks. It takes 3 days. British intelligence already knows the Italian defensive plan. Intercepted radio traffic reveals gun positions, reserve locations, supply depot coordinates. When Bergonzoli moves his artillery to cover the southern approaches, British cryptographers read his orders before his own gunners do. Australian infantry punch through the perimeter at dawn, January 4th. The assault begins with artillery bombardment from British guns that fire for only 10 minutes. Short, violent preparation that doesn't give Italian defenders time to react. Then Australian 6th Division Infantry advances behind a creeping barrage. Bangalore torpedoes clear paths through wire obstacles. Engineers bridge anti-tank ditches with prefabricated materials. Italian resistance crumbles sector by sector, not from cowardice, from confusion. British attacks hit the weak points Bergonzoli thought were secret. His communication system breaks down when British shells land directly on his command bunkers. Reserve units march toward positions that are already in British hands. Bardia surrenders. January 5th, 40,000 prisoners. 400 guns, 100 tanks. The British lose 500 men. Bergonzoli escapes by submarine, leaving his army behind. Tobruk becomes the next target, January 21st, 41. The port city that will become legend later in the war, but in January 1941, it's just another Italian stronghold blocking British advance. 25,000 defenders. Admiral Vittorio Tur commands the garrison with orders to hold at all costs. The pattern repeats with mechanical precision. British intelligence reads Italian deployment orders. Finds the weak sectors. Pinpoints artillery positions. Australian assault troops hit exactly where defenses are thinnest. Italian counterattacks march into pre-registered killing zones. Tobruk falls January 22nd. One day. 25,000 more prisoners. The Italian 10th Army ceases to exist as fighting force. Graziani pulls his remaining units back to Beta Fam, a bottleneck where the coast road squeezes between salt marsh and hills. His final gamble. If he can hold British forces here for 48 hours, German reinforcements might arrive. Erwin Rommel is already boarding ships in Naples with advance elements of the Africa Corps. February 7th, 1941, dawn. The final battle begins. 7th Armored Division blocks the coast road with 50 working tanks. Behind them, rifle companies from the Rifle Brigade dig in with 2 days of ammunition. Their position looks hopeless. Coming toward them, the remnants of an entire Italian army. 20,000 men, 100 tanks, 300 trucks loaded with equipment and supplies. The British don't budge. Italian M13 tanks attack in waves. Their 37mm guns bounce shells off British armor. Cruiser tanks respond with 2-pounder rounds that punch through Italian steel like paper. Bersaglieri infantry charge machine gun nests and die in windrows. Feathered hats scattered across salt flats that turn red with blood. By noon, the road is choked with burning vehicles. Graziani's command convoy sits among the wrecks. His staff car has bullet holes in every panel. The marshal himself walks forward through the carnage carrying a white handkerchief tied to his swagger stick. February 7th, 4:15 p.m. The Italian 10th Army surrenders unconditionally. the numbers tell the complete story. Operation Compass lasts 62 days. British forces advance 500 miles across hostile desert, capture 130,000 prisoners, 400 tanks, 1,300 artillery pieces, total British casualties, 1,900 killed, wounded, and missing. The kill ratio is 68 to 1. But the real victory isn't mathematical, it's psychological. December 9th, 1940, Suez. Mussolini's army looks invincible. Fascist propaganda shows Italian tanks rolling toward Cairo and the Suez Canal. February 7th, 41. That same army no longer exists, not defeated, annihilated. The myth of Italian military power dies in the sand at Beta Fam. O'Connor's 36,000 men prove something revolutionary about modern warfare. Small professional forces can destroy larger armies if they move faster. Think clearer, fight smarter. They create tactics that Rommel will steal and Montgomery will perfect. The desert warfare doctrine that wins in 1942 starts here, with the impossible victory of Operation Compass. But there's a twist. The history books bury deeper than archaeological sites. O'Connor could have kept going. His forces remain intact despite 2 months of continuous combat. The road to Tripoli lies open. Libya's oil fields wait undefended. Italian colonial administration collapses. Local tribes offer to guide British forces to strategic targets. Churchill pulls them out instead. February 12th, 1941. The Prime Minister orders 7th Armored Division and other veteran units to Greece. Operation Compass ends just as it reaches unstoppable momentum. The decision will haunt British strategy for 2 years. 3 weeks later, Rommel lands in Tripoli with advance elements of the Africa Corps. The desert war that should have ended in February 1941 drags on until May 1943. Tobruk changes hands twice. El Alamein becomes a household name. Thousands die in battles that never should have happened. The irony cuts deeper than shrapnel. Operation Compass succeeds so completely that it creates its own failure. Churchill assumes North Africa is secure. He can afford to redeploy experienced units to other theaters. The Germans arrive in a vacuum left by British overconfidence. In 1993, archaeologists excavating beneath Tobruk's harbor found something that changes the entire story. Italian military records, buried when the city fell in January 41. Among them, Graziani's final order to his surviving staff officers, 5 words written in pencil on the back of a supply requisition form dated February 6, 1941. The English cannot be everywhere. He was wrong. For 62 days, they were